Hello, welcome to Together We Feel. It's a Come As You Are panel on this Monday morning, March 23rd, or depending on where you're listening at, it might be Monday afternoon or lunchtime. I'm on the West Coast, so for me, it's still coffee time. But sometimes on Monday, it's still coffee time all day. I am so happy to have my friends Kira Hartley-Klinger and Jess Vanrose here with me today. They've both been on panels with us before, but they haven't been on together, and both guests on the podcast. So coming up, future guests in some instances, but I'm so thankful this morning, I want to say, for this network of incredible women that I know that I can reach out to regularly and like, hey, jump on and join this conversation with me. Let's talk about how we're doing today. And that's what we're going to do. We've got a person who just commented in our comments. I am live. Come hang here. I'm like, yes, come hang here. We are here. It's a safe space for you to land and just talk about how you are. I am feeling all the feelings. It's Women's History Month. So we do a lot of work on here to promote that, which we do all the time. That's really the core of our work, but we go the little extra mile, and we've had some both expected and unexpected opportunities come up with that. Last week, we dropped our annual podcast-thon episode focused on Callisto, which is an organization, nonprofit, focused on helping sexual assault survivors get their power back, specifically focused on college campuses, but they're working to expand their funding so they can be available to all who have gone through this. This is a topic that is obviously in the headlines right now. It should always be in the headlines until it stops, but because of the level of those who have assaulted and their prominent positions in life, we're hearing about it. And unfortunately, we're seeing the sad case of our sexual assault survivors being re-traumatized through this process. So it was such a timely conversation, an important time to have that. And then through our good friends at Podmatch, I came across a woman whose PR person reached out to me, and she is part of the Iranian resistance. She is part of a group that fights for what the people in Iran want in terms of overthrowing the regime and a free, safe democracy that they want. And I was like, they reached out to me in late January, and I already knew it was going to be a compelling time because of the uprisings that were happening over there. And then we are in war with Iran, thanks to decisions of people that don't listen to anybody else, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm trying to stay, but we're in it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I moved my schedule around. I really didn't have room for her in my schedule, but I'm like, I talked to the other people that were coming up. I'm like, I hate to do this to you, but I really think this conversation is timely for now, not next fall. And they were like, oh, absolutely. So this week we're releasing a 2-part series with her, a conversation about her story, how she got involved, how involved the women are in the resistance. The women are leading the resistance in Iran, and most people don't understand that, or the role that they have played and the empowerment that they have inspired for their people. It is, it's inspiring, it's empowering, it's hopeful, it's heartbreaking, it's everything. And it's 2 parts because it was a long conversation. So I wanted it to be divided up equally on Tuesday, Thursday. So that's dropping this week. A lot of work's gone into that by myself and my team to make that possible. And just the nature of the world. Things are busy in our family life and our personal life and his work life right now. And I came into the end of the week, I'm like, I am both grateful for these opportunities and I am emotionally exhausted. I mean, I live in Central California. And so when the Cesar Chavez information, when Dolores Huerta very bravely came forward at 96 years old and shared her story of sexual assault by this very well-known leader in the farm workers movement last week, it rang like an alarm bell through this valley. Like it's the heart of that movement started here. If there are things all around named after Cesar Chavez. There's a statue on campus where my husband works that they're taking down. I mean, it just rang through. And it was just that next thing for me that I'm like, my God, when does this stop? And the sad thing is it doesn't. And I feel like it's just the beginning of women finally, and sexual assault survivors, period. I mean, I have sexual assault survivors in my family that are men also. I mean, this is, but it's just changing the narrative and creating safe spaces. And let's quit re-assaulting them when they come forward with their truth. And remember that 98% of the people who report being sexually assaulted are telling the truth. So let's quit asking the question, oh, we need to verify, no, stop. Let's start focusing on the people who are doing the assaulting and hold them accountable and ask them the hard questions and make them pay for what they've done. And let's start talking to our children when they're very young about what it means to honor each other, no matter what you identify as or how you identify. That the way we treat each other as humans matters, that we all matter, that we all deserve to have freedom and safety. So I am like, I had a couple of really like overzealous venting sessions with a couple of people on Thursday and Friday. I'm like, I need a break this weekend. The emotions are overflowing to the point where I'm just screaming and yelling. I'm not actually, and it felt good to get it out. It's not, I talk a lot about getting your emotions out and feeling it. And both these spaces, I did this and we're safe people. Like I knew it wasn't just a random overflow, but I need to take a step back and create some space and safety for myself so my nervous system can recover for what's another very big week here work-wise, and also for the fact that I've got some big things going on with my family dynamic this week. I've got some big things going on with my husband's work dynamic and all that he's dealing with. I'm like, I got to take some space. And so I did that on Saturday. I went for a long walk. I went and got new running, workout shoes. My husband and I had a nice long brunch together. I watched a lot of college basketball, I talked to our children yesterday, got the laundry done and the dishes done and got the house kind of ready for the week. We had an event last night, and I will tell you, I hate Sunday events. I really do. I'm like, leave my Sunday alone. Leave it alone. It's a wonderful event. It's a wonderful event. I love the event. That's the only thing that saves me. It's the only reason I drag my butt there every year but there's 2 events a year for my husband's work that are on Sundays. They're about 6 months apart. This is one of them. And I'm so all day long, I'm like, maybe I'm throwing up this afternoon. Maybe and my husband's like, you can throw up if you want to. I have to go. And I'm like, oh, I need to go too. And I did. And I'm always thankful I did. And I'm always inspired when I get home. But so then I feel like my week's like kind of catapulted into a start that I'm not quite ready for. So I was really slow this morning. I got up slow. I didn't look at any gadgets right away and allowed myself to ease in. And so I think for me, my takeaway is pay attention to those cues when you're feeling overcharged, when you're feeling maxed, when you start seeing things bubbling over. Step back and create space for yourself, because if we're going to keep doing these things that all of us are so passionate about here on this panel, and many of us out in the world, we've got to be properly resourced. And so for me, I was mindful this week. I'm like, I pushed a little over the top last week, and I underestimated the impact of some things that are ongoing on top of what I was taking on. So it's like, okay, I need to be a little more mindful. And I talk about it a lot. I look at my calendar in terms of capacity rather than time now. Like, okay, what is my capacity? And so I did that this morning. I took a look at my calendar. I'm like, have I over capacitied myself anywhere here? Or am I good, or I needed to shift it? And then there's a couple of things I needed to shift. And I realized, and I asked for the shift. So that's where I'm coming in today. Kira, how are you?
I'm recovering too from different things
Yeah.
But I had a day just like you talked about last week. I'd been Ohio to Maine, and I was at LaGuardia in between flights, supposed to be a 3.5 hour layover, which I was not really looking forward to. And my 3.5 hour layover turned into a 5.5 hour layover because nobody could find flight attendants. Really dumb reasons, I felt like, but it's like, okay, I can do it. I think, I'll step up.
I can bring you your coffee.
Right. Come on. I just wanted to get home. I knew that I had a couple busy days coming up. I had been gone for a week, so I had about 35 shipments to process when I got home the next day. I had a speaking engagement the following day that I wasn't ready for. So yeah, and that speaking engagement had already been rescheduled from October. So the whole time I'm in LaGuardia, I'm like, I cannot cancel on them again. I can't. I have to go home. Yeah. But I did the same exact thing. I got home late. We get up at 4:30 in the morning here. So I've already been up for 7 hours. I've moved off of the hot beverages for right now. So I rolled right into it. I worked all day long getting my orders out and getting ready for this speaking engagement. And then I, go the next morning, head back to Columbus, which is where the airport is too. I was just there, but I go back again for this thing. And the plan was, Columbus is like an hour each way. And my second grade granddaughter had her first ever musical concert, if you will, that night in Fort Wayne, which is 2 hours each way, the other direction.
Yeah, in Indiana.
Yes. So that's happening at, I think we had to be there at 5:30. So I had it in my brain. Okay, I have to go do this speaking gig. I'll probably get done around 2-ish. I'll probably get home 3-ish, grab my husband who gets home from work at 3:30 and we're out the door again. I'm like, well, I got to do it. I'm a grandmother, I can't be the only grandparent not there. So I do. It was like probably one of my better gigs. People were really receptive. I was leaving. I was pumped. I'm eating my lunch on the car on the way home because I didn't have time before. All of a sudden, I'm like, man, my tooth feels funny. The heck? I look in the rearview mirror. Me? My tooth on the way home from speaking gig. And I'm like, seriously? And it's not even that it's that big of a deal to go to the concert, whatever. I was like, I'll just address the elephant in the room. I'll be like, hey, look what I did, rather than sit here and try to hide it the whole time. But I got home and all of a sudden it just all caught up with me. My week of being gone, my day of stress when I came home, doing the speaking gig, the up, the down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I cannot make that 2-hour drive and get home late tonight. I don't have it in me. And I wrestled with it the whole time because it's like, I'm the grandmother. It's her first one, And finally I did. I gave myself permission to be human. And I texted them. I'm like, look, I'm really sorry. I don't have it in me. I can't do it. So there it is. But I still, I have not vacuumed yet since I've been home. So it's really bugging me. Because we rolled into a really busy weekend. It was beautiful out. We had trees that came down in the storm. So we were busy raking and cleaning up trees and all the good stuff. Sunday, we had to go to Fort Wayne for other grandchildren's birthday parties. So, and again, you said Sunday engagements. I'm like, because you get home and you're just like, oh my God, tomorrow's Monday, So yeah, here I am. I am bound and determined that I am going to vacuum today. Today's the day.
And sometimes this vacuuming can be a workout too. You can kind of like,
I have 250-pound Newfoundland dogs, and if they're not leaving hair everywhere, they're bringing in leaves and sticks and twigs from the yard.
Because everything sticks to them. They're like Velcro.
It does. I mean, I'm used to vacuuming at the minimum every other day, and I think my husband took care of the dogs while I was gone. I think he probably vacuumed once in that week. But that's okay as long as it's vacuumed when I get home. And it was, but I haven't vacuumed since. And so today's Monday. I got home Wednesday night. Yeah, I'm on a roll. Today's the day.
Today's the day. All right. It's so many things that I'm slapped because I think of all the ways that we pull ourselves as women of like, oh my gosh, I got to be here. I got to do that. And then you, in the middle of it, like the broken tooth is I think it's such a metaphor for like, seriously?
Right.
Really? I got it scheduled. Now I got to go to the dentist and figure this out. Come on. Oh my word. But that is what life feels like. And it's that stepping back and like, all right, it's the weekend. We're going to enjoy this. It's busy. And by golly, I'm going to get if I get one thing done today that I can take off my list, it's going to be the vacuuming.
For a day. Then I don't have to think about it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Tomorrow
exactly.
I go to the dentist.
Oh, God. Wow. All right. Jess, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm recovering from a chest infection.
Oh,
We're all recovering from something.
No kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm doing a lot better, so that's good. But
okay.
Oh man, I feel like you guys have given me so much. First of all, Sundays are for my yoga classes. Okay, nothing else. It is for yoga and my meditation. That is it.
I know. I know.
Anybody else that books events on Sunday, what are you doing?
I know. I know. I ask this question every time I go to these things.
Right? Don't we all enjoy our Sundays?
Oh man. Yeah.
Melissa, I wanted to say I had Tracy on my podcast.
Oh,
She is fantastic, isn't she?
she's amazing. She is.
So awesome. Yeah. And I think it's so important, the part that you had talked about, the consent, are teaching the kids. I think it's so important that we teach kids what proper consent looks like as children, so that growing up, they already know, like it's completely like it's in their heads, it's ingrained,
right?
Like they know, they have no doubt what consent actually looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also, so the last podcast episode that I put out on mine, it was a heavy one too. So it was actually about human trafficking.
Oof.
Yeah, I I had the honor of having Jenny Sue Jessen on the podcast, and she was actually personally appointed by the president to the U.S. Advisory Council for Human Trafficking.
Wow.
And she was also a survivor of trafficking herself. Yeah, I mean, it was a very important episode to put out, but it was I think it's the hardest conversation I've had. And my podcast is about trauma. So.
Yeah. So that's all you need to know there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a hard one. I had to like after recording, I had to step away, and I went and found a pond and nature, and I just sat there in silence because I'm like, I just
Yeah.
Like I teach, I needed to come back to myself out of my head. But I think where I'm at today, I'm in this really in between season in my life where it feels like everything is kind of transitioning. And I know I've talked about it before. I've worked in the legal field for a decade, and I lost that job back in August. And instead of panicking, which I very easily could have done, and just rushed to go find another legal job, I decided to just pause and see if I could follow the path that I have been wanting to follow this whole time. And so I've been doing that, but it's just, it's come to a time now where I've given up my apartment and I am moving back in with my mom for a little bit. And it's like,
wow,
it's just become so clear that every situation we have, there's always going to be a positive and a negative. There's always, there is no path in life that is free of challenges. And so we have to choose the challenge that we're willing to accept. And so the two choices I had was I could easily get another legal job, which had
Mhm.
the financial security, the steady income. I can still have my own place, all of that. But I knew that it was, in a way, it would be like abandoning myself making that choice. Whereas I could take the really scary path and the path that most of society calls the riskiest path, where I don't
Yeah.
have a steady income. And it looks like coming back home for a little bit. But it also feels like the path where I get to kind of choose myself, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You
yeah,
won't regret it. You won't regret it. I
No.
I
did
don't
that
I don't think that I
18
will.
years ago.
Yeah.
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 We're both in our 50s now. We can tell you in our 30s, there's some paths that we could have chosen. And what I've written down your quote. And I'm going to use it as the lead when we promo this later in the week for the people that can't be here with us live today. We have to choose the challenge we're willing to accept. I think it's so important. It goes with something I say a lot about whatever you're saying yes to, you're saying no to something else. You better be okay with how that lands and what it is you're saying no to. You and you said, I was going to follow it up, and you said it, you're choosing not to abandon yourself.
Yes.
And I tell women all the time, if the choice is between abandoning yourself and not abandoning yourself, unless your house is literally on fire around you, don't always choose not to abandon yourself. That is always the choice. And I think that's something that Kira and I's generation is finally getting a handle on. And we're really being vocal about it in this season of life, because we've seen what it's done to our mothers and grandmothers and the generations before. And those of you that are, a generation or two behind us are seeing that from the get-go. I mean, my daughters are in their 20s and early 30s. My oldest is, 31. And I'm seeing them do those things, making those choices that aren't always easy, but it's the ones that are honoring them. And they'll sometimes, and they will do that, not always without hesitation, but with conviction, knowing, and and I think this is the key, they've surrounded themselves with people that will help them when they're walking through, like, am I missing something here? And they've got smart voices around them that will take them, I'll help them when they're struggling, get back home to themselves. So thank you for sharing that. That's really, I think that's so pivotal. And yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm getting whatever it is, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to trust myself, trusting ourselves. Gosh, that's just such a big piece of the whole thing. Going back to Kira, do you have any questions or thoughts for Jess? And then Jess, I'll let you do the same thing.
No, I mean, first off, I want to put hats off to both you ladies for everything that you have been doing to help empower these women. I'm passionate about it. Obviously, I like to come on your show. I've talked on other empowering women podcasts. My mother is probably extremely empowering. There's a lot of me that feels really, really absent sometimes from everything that's going on in the world. Not that I don't hear it and empathize and feel, but and Melissa already knows this. My dad has been battling small cell lung cancer for the last 18 months. Yeah. So I'm on an airplane probably every 5 to 6 weeks and spending a week at a time with them. And so you get into this bubble, and that's where the stress is, and that's where the heartache seems to be.
Absolutely.
We're losing everybody. We back?
Oh, no. My Wi-Fi's being weird. I don't know what it is. I changed the location. This is what happens when you go live. You get to figure all this stuff out on the fly. So I can hear you all. It'll get back in a minute. I just got to find the right button to push.
Yeah, I can hear you too. It's like I'm listening to your testimonies and I'm thinking, wow, and I'm just worried about breaking a tooth, but I didn't fill in the before happens that this was my umpteenth trip to a very stressful situation. My dad had a stroke right in front of me while I was there. So this was the big wind down afterwards, and then I listened to you guys talk and I pop in on these other podcasts. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at everything else that is going on in the world. So while I'm taking a vacation in my brain from all this. I'm glad that I have you guys there taking up the lead on it. And I also wanted to say something too with you, Jess. I kind of have this now that I look back on my journey. You know, I started over at 40 after a divorce, no college education, no job training. And what happened was I had this my core principle was I'm going to be present for my kids. I'm not going to let that slide. I'm going to be available. And as long as I was willing to let everything else be flexible, then I had no choice but to succeed. And so that was just my little bit of advice to you, is to find that core principle and to stick to it and be flexible on everything else. And you'll be just fine.
Ooh, that's good. Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Kira, I want to also lift you up. I've been in the season you're in a few years ago. It is the 50s are a tricky time because they call it, we're kind of in a sandwich situation where we've got kids going out the door, grandkids coming in, people getting married, parents are aging and ailing and require different kinds of energy from us that we, didn't necessarily foresee or understand until you're in it. And so when you get into that season, your energy is focused on that. You're just trying to what's the next best step for them, for me? How do I wade through this? Not knowing what's coming the next day in the healthiest way possible, but it's a shit show. And so you do have to make choices about I think the overlying theme that I'm hearing from us today is pay attention to your capacity. What is your capacity for what is on your plate right now and needs your focus and attention? And make sure that you're making space to stop and pause and refuel. And also honor that, use that no, use that reschedule. I'm going to come back to this later. Use that no, not right now. Be very mindful of your yeses. Give yourselves a minimum of 24 hours before you say yes to anything new. It is about that capacity check. And we are, as women, are very guilty of overriding. Oh, no, I can do it. I got it. I don't want to disappoint. I can show up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And strap it on, all these things. And you find yourself on a Thursday afternoon getting ready to record a book club on a book that's also very trauma filled. I'm sure I'm telling on myself here. And you just completely unload with the people in the book club before you go live because you're so maxed out. And luckily, like I said, they were a safe space for me. And they're like, whoa, Melissa's really, really overtapped today. Maybe she should have skipped book club. But it's that capacity. And when you do catch yourself in it, give yourself the space. But yeah, whatever it is, we can't always, there's not enough room. There's so much going on in both our personal worlds and the outside world. You really have to respect and understand your capacity and also refuel and resource so you can get back in the fight or the cause or the thing that is on your plate right now, because you need to show up there well, but give yourself the space to show up there well so that you can continue to move forward. But yeah, I think capacity is what I'm really hearing today, and us making sure we're managing it well, listening to ourselves, trusting ourselves. And yeah, that's really coming to the forefront. Jess, any questions for Kira or thoughts for anything else what we're talking about?
I was going to say, I feel like the trusting myself piece has probably been the biggest through what I'm going through, because now I'm in a position where it's hard. It's hard to limit my capacity to I get those moments where it's like, I can't take on more. I feel physically exhausted, but in my mind, it's like, I know the only way that I am getting money right now is if I show up. So
yeah,
that pressure of okay, but I have to, because the only way money is coming to me is if I do it. So yeah, it's been Yeah, it's been really hard to like actually step back when I feel like I need that time because that mental pressure is in my mind. But what I have found is that when I have that feeling, I just have to trust myself that I I I'm resourceful. I will be
Mhm.
able to get through anything that comes at me. I've already proven that to myself over and over again through
Mhm.
all of the things that I've been through in my life. I've gotten through everything else before. I will continue to find a way to get through. So, yeah, but it is hard. It's hard
It is.
to take a step back.
I had
It is
many, many,
hard.
many days on my knees
Yeah.
praying and many late nights working on the elliptical at like 1 o'clock in the morning because it was the only time I could find time. The
Yeah.
grind is real, and the
Yeah.
grind is a thing. But if you stay true and keep pushing, you'll get to the point where you don't have to grind so hard, it'll come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kira, I wanted to ask you, so you had mentioned that you restarted your life kind of thing, started over at
Mhm.
40, and I'm really curious, like what brought you to that point? And like, 'cause I know it's such a scary point in your life, so I'm really curious, like how did you get there and how did you get through it?
My ex-husband was a narcissist and I married
Mm.
super young. I was 18 when I got married, had my first
Wow.
baby 2 months before we got married, 3 kids by the time I was 26. I was cleaning people's houses for 20 years just to try to help make money because I wanted to be there for my kids. So yeah, when I divorced at 40, I had not a clue. I was
Mm.
very, very fortunate. My mom and dad were in a position that they bought a little farmhouse for me and my daughter, who was the last one that I was raising. She was a teenager. They didn't buy it. They bought it so that we could rent it from them. I paid them rent.
Mhm.
But I paid them what I could afford to pay them, and they were okay with that. And there were some months when I didn't have it, and they were okay with that. So I was really super blessed. It's kind of like you moving in with your mom. We had parents that stepped up for us, and I will be eternally grateful. Um, One of my little side hobbies that I did with friends was buying and selling. I used to buy and sell things to make money if I could find something cheap. Oh, I wonder if that's worth any money. So that's what I started to do. I worked with the change in my pockets. I got pretty good at it. I have 2 successful internet shops with, I don't know, close to 60,000 sales at this point. I've got books that go with the shop. I have guest speaking that goes with the shop and the books. I even signed a contract with a TV producer at some point. So I just took off. It was just one step in front of the other, foot in front of the other. But yeah, I had nothing except for confidence in myself, a dream of having something for myself that was all my own and the desire to do it. And my one core principle was I'm not going to abandon my kids. I'm not going to go put my kids in daycare. I'm not going to let my 14-year-old daughter come home to an empty house because I'm working in a factory somewhere. I can do better.
Mm.
I love that you were talking about like all the different pieces, like all the different facets of your business. And I feel like I know I'm the same, Melissa. I'm sure you're the same. And I find it fascinating how we actually follow those paths. Like for me,
Mhm.
it's always, I get this like a little bit of an intuition, but sometimes it just comes to me in like this big burst of excitement. And it's just like
Mhm.
an idea pops in your head. But sometimes you have to know like what are the ones to follow and what are the ones to let
Yeah.
go. And
Yeah.
that I have found really hard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and me
I
both.
I can relate wholeheartedly to that. I'm in this season where I have built this thing and now I'm kind of okay, world, it's all here. I've put all the pieces together. And I'm shifting the narrative from being people seeing me as this podcast host with like, well, I've got an online course and I do public speaking and I'm now offering one-on-one empowerment sessions and we have a book and have a panel show and knowing like, okay, where because I feel you on the like, I can't say no to anything because I need to bring in money. Like for my husband and I, there's a mark I need to be hitting based on the goals we set and financial resources we have available. And so not chasing the things that, just everything and trusting the ones that no, this one's going to be a yes. And no, maybe not energy here. Like so now I'm kind of changing what, rebranding myself as a thought leader and speaker that also has these, other things. And it's coming to life, but it's like I have a very low bar of patience. And there's also like that little panic in me of like, okay, by this date, I've got to be bringing in X amount a month. And this is not the kind of work that has a guaranteed amount a month. Like,
no,
some months you have these speaking engagements and X amount of people buy your online course or your book, and some months there's nothing. and so learning how to navigate that as well. So when stuff comes in, okay, how do I manage this while I'm waiting for the next hit? And but also knowing that when I show up, I need to show up fully resourced and well. So making that space. And I say all the time, this space for yourself these can be 5-minute increments. They don't have to be, they can be, okay, it's time to get up and walk outside. It's orange blossom season here in the Central Valley. So it smells delightful right now outside, which it doesn't smell delightful here a lot of the year. A lot of other farm things going on that don't smell so well, but it does right now. So I love this time of year. And so I'm mindful of like, I'm going to step outside, take a deep breath in, listen to the birds. And because I relate to you, Jess, when I finish a conversation, a recording, I got to get up and go outside and not do anything for 5 to 15 to 30 minutes. And it might be I do my workout at that point. I go for a walk. I do 10 minutes of quiet. I just shift. I go do a house chore or something just to get my mind recalibrated and kind of and to make sure we're not carrying the trauma of the stories we hear is such an important part of it too. But yeah, I think it's just, like Kira says, having that value, that thing out in front of you. It's like, this is the non-negotiable. This is the thing. And that flexibility in the other areas. I think that's the part we forget. We've got that non-negotiable, but we forget the flexibility. That's key. That's key. There are things that we have to release when we're in these seasons of building and becoming and following and trusting ourselves down that path that we know we've identified as the route and place we want to go. And it's that ability. And that's why I go back to the power of no period and not apologizing for it and trusting that the people around you will either support you in that or it gets real clear on who the people around you shouldn't be. Because the other thing that has come up for me here and what Kira was talking about is, and we said it earlier and it came up for me, it's support systems, the power and importance of our support systems of people who believe in us, that love us, that will, we've been very fortunate. My husband and I throughout our life, his parents and my adopted parents have been incredible support systems, getting through those bumpy times. And also a reminder, if you're a parent your whole life. And it doesn't look the same as you're raising them at home. But sometimes there's times that your kids need you to show up again in a different way. And we're kind of in a season of that right now where it kind of ebbs and flows, where one's like, okay, I think they're good. They seem to be good. Okay, this one's going to need a little support here. And that's going to continue to evolve. And so learning how to show up, I think, as an adult parent, being ready for that, not solving things, not being like, oh, I'm going to go in and fix this, but being a part of the support to support your adult child into, okay, this is where you're going. All right, how can we support you in that? So I think those support systems and voices around you are so powerful and important in this process.
Yeah, 100%. You got to surround yourself with the right people and leave the wrong people in the rearview mirror. And an example, success doesn't always look like what you think it's going to look like. When I was a kid, the only thing I ever wanted to do was write. That I had no backup plan. That was it. And without a college education in my 20s, I did write. I wrote like crazy, but I thought I was going to be this contemporary women's fiction writer, and I wrote all these tremendous manuscripts. And what ended up happening, life got in the way. I had to quit writing. I had to go into business. And at the end of the day, my business customers, my shop customers are the ones that asked me to write the books, but now it's nonfiction. And I never would have, a million years would have thought that I would have swung nonfiction. I was a storyteller, But my life in this business I've created, it creates stories in itself. They're just true stories. And so that's one of the means why I mean about this pivot. It's not what I expected, but it's still really, really good, you know? So I had to be willing to pivot on that, to be like, okay, yeah, sure. Why not? What can this take it? And, you know, I was 55 by the time I published. You know, 2 years ago, we became debt free. So now I can forget about that line of needing to make money by this deadline. Sure, we need to pay for things. We need to do this. We need to do that. But I can travel to go see my mom and dad. 10 years ago, that would have been a no, absolutely not. How am I going to ever do this? But now I can. So, I mean, things don't happen overnight. There's a lot of patience that's involved, but just you keep believing in yourself and you get there.
Well, and that point on the pivot, like, I feel like that is so important. There's so many, our lives are long, and there are so many different phases through our life. And if we are so like set in one mindset where it's like, no, I am a law clerk. That's what I am. It doesn't matter how it's affecting my life. This is just what I do. This is who I am. Then, and I just stick with that. Like that would have, well, I mean, it did. By the end of it, it destroyed my soul.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like constantly finding those moments. But I think trying to answer it before the world, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, forces you to.
Right.
Pushes you out of the nest. Go.
Yeah.
It has happened to me so many times where I'm like, okay, I didn't listen fast enough. So now it's just like, boom, okay, now I have no choice left.
Yeah.
But
I started my whole my framework is because I saw myself in too many women getting to that boom. I have to pay attention now. I'm like, no. If you're asking yourself these questions regularly, you can catch yourself earlier and not get to the, like, we don't have to get to this point, but we have to know what to be asking ourselves and where our value is placed, and that we are deciding those things and not allowing outside sources decide them for us, that we're not outsourcing our values, we're not outsourcing our why, we're not outsourcing our boundaries, our beliefs, our, you know, what we care about. We are going to the source within us and listening to that and honoring that. But it is something that, you've got to learn that, because no one's asking you that when you're a kid, unfortunately. And that's another thing as a parent with grown kids now. I mean, I could spend hours on the time and things that I wish I would have done differently. And what I'm learning is, and it's like, I can't do that. But what I can pivot as an adult parent. Like, listen, I didn't nail this one. So hear me now when I say and just owning that and moving forward from there. But I think that curiosity over judgment. How many people do we see that find that job that makes the money, that pays for the lifestyle they want, but they're miserable? They're miserable. Yes. And we see it time and time again. And these miserable people become people in health crises, people in relationship crises, people in financial crises, because they're looking for that thing to fill their soul instead of listening to and trusting, because they're too scared to take the chance on themselves, on what it is. It goes back to what you said earlier, Jess. We have to choose the challenge we're willing to accept. And so many times, sadly, people aren't willing to accept the challenge of choosing what's healthiest for themselves. But I'm here to tell you that choice you will not regret, because once you've made it and you get to a certain point in it, you're like, oh my gosh, how have I not done this sooner? Yes, these things are still hard. This does not change that these things are still hard, that I'm still trying to create consistent income. And also, I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing today. I can't imagine not showing up in this way. I can't imagine not having these relationships. All these things. I can't imagine not being able to go to Maine and take care of my parents when they need me. I can't imagine. I can't imagine not having a mom that's willing to say, yeah, Jess, I believe in you too. I'm going to support you. Let's do this. Let's bet on you. I mean, so God, so many good. I love these come as you are's because they just open the door to so many possibilities, and we've done it again today. So thank you both for what you've brought to
And
this.
Melissa, I wanted to say, because so kind of tying into the pivot part as well, is that like when I went into the legal job, when I became a law clerk, at that point, that was what I needed. And so like I was not abandoning myself in that moment when I started.
Yeah.
For
Ooh, that's
me,
good.
that was me getting out of the survival mode that I was in before.
Yes.
That was my lifeline.
Mhm.
And then through that time, that decade of working it became something that was not okay to continue doing. And I think that's where the hardest shift was, because it's like, well, this was what I needed before. And
Mhm.
it takes time to process that that's no longer the thing that I need. And also, it's now the thing that's kind of harming me in a way.
Ooh, that's really good. Thank you for that. Different seasons bring different things, and different seasons bring learning. And all of a sudden, we move into a space we weren't in before. Thank you so much for that, because I think all of us could be like, okay, at the point in time that I made that decision, and maybe not. No, sometimes there's like things you look back on and like, that was just this. But so there's many times there's like, yeah, at that point in time, that was the absolute right thing for me. And I outgrew that. And I learned more and I learned differently. And it's okay to change. We don't have to stay just because that's what we did then. We don't have to stay forever. I think it goes for career paths, it goes for relationships, it goes for places that we live, it goes for, houses that we do or don't buy, whether or not to have children or not. I mean, there's so many things that play into that. Yes, that willingness to pivot, and just because it was good doesn't mean it always will be. Yeah.
Giving ourselves permission to grow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is a lifelong journey, and that means that there's always going to be opportunity to learn and grow if we allow it. So many times we get comfortable and we're afraid to move out of the comfort. And so we'll just stay where we are. And then we're like, well, why am I so unsettled? Why am I feel angsty? Why do I feel miserable? It's like, because you've chosen the comfort and you've chosen to get, and so I think the other thing too is it's a hard choice. It's a risky choice, but it is a choice. And so sometimes we get stuck. I don't have a choice. I don't know. You do. You just have to decide which choice you're going to own and own whatever comes with that. But there's always a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which heart do you want to choose?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%. All right. Kira, tell people where they can find you and follow you, and then just leave one last thought for our listeners today.
Okay. So I'm on Instagram. I don't have a web page. It's on that bucket list. I'm working it in somewhere. But you can find me on Instagram under Dodd Oddity. And that's also the name of my Etsy shop. And my Etsy shop is what started the book series. So you can find me on LinkedIn under Kira Hartley-Klinger. I have a Facebook author page under Kira Hartley-Klinger. And one final thought. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about people that kind of get in this situation of being somewhat stuck. They go, like, my husband has a great job. He's had a great job for 25 years. Every day he says, I can't wait to retire. But, I feel badly. I remarried 13 years ago. Best decision I ever made. I took a second chance on that too. And we really worked together for this life. But I also understand and appreciate that the biggest reason that I'm able to continue my growth journey is because I've got him being rock steady in the background.
Yeah.
And I know that there are things that he thinks about doing too, but he's doing the hard job. He's making the reliable paycheck. So I appreciate the people that help us to make it happen. Because a lot of this was my climb, but without the right people and the support behind you, there are certain aspects that would have been a whole lot more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. If I didn't have my mom, this wouldn't even be, well, it would be an option, but it would be a drastically slower process
Mhm.
because I would have to go back to a law firm and then do this on the side when I had the energy or the
Yeah.
time. Not often.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Just tell people where they can find you and follow you, and then just any last thought.
Yeah, so probably the easiest place to get me is my website that has everything. So it's jessicavanrose.com. I have a podcast, Life After Trauma. I also have meditations that are trauma-informed meditations. You can find them on the website. And if you're in the Southwestern Ontario area, I do hold in-person events as well. And now, Melissa, like you, I've actually started offering one-on-one guided sessions.
Mm.
And it's because, like, I know I'm not the only person who's going through these transition phases. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just need somebody to sit with you and let you talk it all through. I believe that everybody has the answers within themselves. So, like,
Yes.
I have my coaching certification, both just life coach and my trauma informed certification, but I'm not there to tell you what to do. It's like I just want to be a safe space for you to be able to come to that decision yourself because
Yeah.
you already know what it is. You just might need some time to talk it through. But um yeah, I think that is probably my final thought is that everybody knows. It's within you. Everything that you need is within you. And Kira, it is about that support system. Like
It's everything.
it really comes back to
Everything.
that for sure. And
Yeah.
being able to trust yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So good. Both of you. Thank you so much for that. And I hear you. If my husband is my partner, my life partner, and if without his support, this would not be possible. Not at all. So support systems, so important. A network of women that believe in you, that encourage you, that show up for you regularly, like I've been able to create here, that I'm so grateful for. And just remembering at the end of the day, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you get to choose, and not losing sight of that. Thank you to you both for joining me for this Come As You Are. We've hit on so many important things today. I know this was a great way for my soul to start the week. I appreciate all that you do and how you all show up in the world. Listeners, take a look at those resources and just pay attention to your capacity. Look who you have in your space around you. Are you surrounded with the people that are healthy for you, that are life-giving to you, that see you for who you are? Do a check on that. I wholeheartedly am with Jess. You have it all in you. Sometimes just conversations with us to help remind you. And that's why I'm so mindful of, like, I call them empowerment sessions. I don't call myself a coach because I'm just helping open the door to what's already within you. And we're just going to draw that out. I'm going to give you a framework that helps you to kind of ask the right questions of yourself. But we're going to draw out what's already there. So that's my last thought is you have, along with Jess and what Kira said, those support systems, and you have it all in you. So trust that. Thanks so much for being with us today. Thank you so much, Kira and Jess, for joining me. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with another Together We Feel. It's not a Come As You Are. I don't have the topics in front of me. I can't remember what it is, but I remember it's something really good because I got ahead and got out to people right away. So come back. We'll be back here next Monday with you here on Together We Feel. Take great care. Leave some space for yourself this week to regenerate and have a great week.